I've wanted to talk about Harry Osborn from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy for quite a while at this point, specifically his actions and his character development in the third movie. So, without further ado, let's just get to the topic at hand. To quickly summarize the friendship between Peter and Harry, they were best friends in high school and even after graduation, and in fact, Harry was present when Peter was initially bit by the spider that ultimately turned him into Spider-Man. Now, in the first movie, the Green Goblin is the main villain, and Green Goblin is also Norman Osborn, Harry's dad. So, as you know, Green Goblin ultimately offs himself in an attempt to kill Peter, aka Spider-Man, and so Peter brings Norman's body back to his house, where Harry ultimately sees that happen. So he thinks that Spider-Man has just killed his dad. So, cut to the next film, Spider-Man 2, and near the end of the movie, Harry finds out that his best friend Peter is Spider-Man. So now he's thinking, okay, it's not just Spider-Man that killed my dad, it's my best friend that killed my dad. So that's what he has in mind, even though we as the audience know full well that that's not actually what happened. Cut once again, now to the third film, and Harry wants to quote-unquote avenge his father by killing Peter, because once again, he thinks that Peter killed his dad, which, think about that from Harry's perspective. How messed up is that? Not only was your dad, again, this is from Harry's perspective, it's not true, but just think about it. Not only was your dad killed by this person that's supposed to be a hero, but turns out that person is your friend, your best friend. That would be a lot to process. And in all honesty, he probably does what most people would want to do by going on to attempt to kill Peter. But anyway, to say that Peter and Harry have had some ups and downs in their friendship would be a major understatement. They went from being super close in high school and after graduation to, as I said, in the third film, within the first half hour, trying to kill each other. That context alone makes you wonder how there could be any semblance of a good outcome or any kind of good end to their friendship. Well, stay tuned. Throughout the film, Spider-Man 3, Harry does some pretty dishonorable things, including, I'm not sure if it would be a form of blackmail, but he essentially threatens MJ and says, if you want Peter to live, then tell him, then break up with him, essentially. And then he goes on to tell Peter that, oh yeah, MJ broke up with you because she's with me now. It's just this kind of manipulation of sorts. So, oh yeah, and on top of that, what I already mentioned, he tries to kill Peter at the beginning of the film. So, Harry certainly wasn't living up to all that he could and should be, or have been, at the start of the film. But fortunately, that doesn't disqualify him from redemption. Near the end of the film, while Peter's wearing the black Spider-Man symbiote suit, I hope that's how you pronounce that, symbiote? Either way, you know what I'm saying, the black Spider-Man suit. While he's wearing that, he goes to Harry's house and they get into a fight. And Peter ultimately ends up on top. But it can't be overstated how far he went. Not only did he beat Harry up, which, yeah, fair enough, they're in a fight, so they're both getting beat up a little bit, yeah, okay. But it can't be overstated how far Peter went, because, I already said that. But Peter went on to be nothing less than a full on, however you would say that, nothing less than a bully. He claimed that, like, he told Harry, oh, your father despised you, you're Goblin Jr. That's some messed up stuff, obviously. Now, fast forward to the final face-off of the film. Sandman and Venom teamed up and captured MJ so as to lure, however you'd say that, they're trying to lure Spider-Man to them so that they can ultimately kill him. Now, Peter then makes a last-ditch effort to get some backup from Harry, claiming that, I'm not going to be able to defeat Sandman and Venom on my own. But to no surprise, Harry doesn't jump at the opportunity to help Peter. In fact, he says to him, when he asks for his help, "You don't deserve my help." And he was right. But it's a great thing that Harry didn't, when it really came down to it, he didn't actually live up to that standard, the standard of treat people how they deserve, or how you think they deserve. Shortly after Peter asks for Harry's help, to no avail, Harry's butler, I believe his name is pronounced Bernard, or Bernard. I believe it's Bernard. But however you pronounce it, he opens up to Harry and tells him that his father, in fact, was killed by the blades from his glider, so it wasn't actually Spider-Man that had killed him. And he then goes on to say that he loves Harry and that his friends do too. Now, the humility shown by Harry to not only concede when he was found out to be wrong, but to also then go help someone he was wronged by, it's commendable to say the least. And let's not neglect the fact that Harry didn't know that Peter, when he essentially beat him up, was wearing the black suit that affected his actions, his emotions, his mannerisms. It just affected him as a whole immensely. For all Harry knew, when Peter came over to do whatever he was doing, he was simply just finishing the job, I guess. He killed, again, this is from Harry's perspective. He killed my dad, and now he's here to just beat me up too. He even said while they were fighting, "Are you going to kill me like you killed my dad?" So yeah, it's an important thing to point out, the fact that as the audience, we knew, okay, Peter currently has the black suit on, so he's going to be affected immensely by that. But again, Harry, as far as I know, he didn't know that. But he was able to look past all of that when it really came down to it. And talk about the quick action on Harry's part, because for the better part of, I looked it up, I believe it's a few months between the second film and the start of the third film. So for months, Harry is just forced to process this idea that his best friend killed his father. After being convinced of that for a while, to now be exposed to the truth that was in fact not the case, I assume that revelation would take the average person at least days, maybe weeks, months, or maybe even a longer time than that, to process that. But Harry quickly saw the error of his ways, forgave his friend, and then immediately took action to do good, or more specifically, to use his abilities for good. Now, cut back to current time. Spider-Man is facing off both Venom and Sandman, and he finds himself essentially on the verge of death. With 2-on-1, he doesn't really stand much of a chance against Venom and Sandman. But just then, as it seems that all hope is lost, a bomb lands on Sandman from seemingly out of nowhere. And this bomb is instantly recognizable. It's a goblin bomb, but more specifically, it's Harry. He flies in, blows up Sandman, and then completely wrecks Venom, like sends him a mile out of the way. And actually, I looked up the scene. I've watched it so many times, this scene specifically that I'm talking about recently, and turns out the theme song that was playing as Harry showed up was the same theme that played when Green Goblin in the first film initially showed up. It's like this orchestral theme, and someone pointed out in the comments that it's pretty neat that it's the same theme, except this time while it's playing, it's in a positive light, and it's when the new goblin is coming to the rescue, and I just thought that was a pretty neat realization. So again, Harry momentarily disables both Venom and Sandman in a matter of 5 to 10 seconds, and then, still dressed and the wounds that he suffered from Peter helps him off the bar that he was seconds away from being killed on. And then, together, they go on to save MJ. But lo and behold, once again, Peter finds himself restrained by Venom's webs. And just as Venom is about to stab Peter with the blades from Harry's board that he's now holding, Harry makes the most loving and redemptive decision that he could. And he sacrifices himself by jumping in front of Peter and gets punctured by the blades himself. Something else that someone pointed out in the comment section of this clip online of this scene is the fact that this really was and is the perfect resolution and conclusion and ending of Harry's character. Rewind back to the first movie. Once again, it was the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn. In an attempt to kill Spider-Man, his board kills him. Fast forward to the third movie. In an effort, and a successful one at that, to save Spider-Man, Harry's board kills him. That just paints such a great picture of, okay, someone I looked up to, someone I loved, they missed the mark in this area. I'm not going to miss it too. In fact, I'm going to do what they should have done with their abilities, use them for good. And on that note, something else that's neat is the fact that in the first movie, the Green Goblin talks to Peter, essentially telling him that they should team up and they would be really powerful together, and that much is true. And we get to see that in this movie, essentially, because Harry uses the same technology his dad had used to have the suit and the glider and the super strength. He uses it, teams up with Spider-Man, and they're able to essentially, well, not, I mean, exactly, they're able to save MJ and the city, for that matter. I mean, who knows what would have happened, what mayhem would have been caused by Venom and Sandman if Spider-Man had died right there before Harry was able to show up. Knowing how the movie ends, it makes it all the more of an important and emotional line from Harry when he was in the hospital near the beginning of the film after getting a concussion or whatever it was, after he hit his head when he was trying to kill Peter initially. So as he's in the hospital, he says, in reference to MJ and Peter, that they're his best friends and that he would give his life for them. And this kind of touches on the topic, the idea of embodying your philosophy, because yeah, it's one thing to just say, is like, oh yeah, do good to others, or yeah, I would die for my friends or family, or family. But he actually lived up to it. So like Harry, remember to not just talk about your philosophy, but to embody it. The conclusion I'm tempted to draw based off of Harry, what he said in the hospital when he had forgotten about, because he hit his head, it made him forget about what had happened and the fact that Peter was Spider-Man and that he thought he killed his father. The conclusion I'm tempted to draw is that you're more so your authentic self when you're not concerning yourself or dwelling on the ways you've been wronged, or that, like in Harry's case, you've even just wrongfully perceived that you've been wronged. You're closer to your real self when you focus on the good and try your best to do good. That said, don't misconstrue that to mean let people walk all over you and tolerate bad behavior, or to completely overlook wrongs done to you all the time. Because if something is bothering you, it may be very well worthwhile to resolve the conflict instead of trying to ignore it to no avail. But all I am saying is that it appears to be the case that if we resolve the bad and then focus on the good and then focus on doing good, we are, at least, if nothing else, on the right track. Peter goes on to blow Venom up using a bomb from Harry's glider, and then Peter and MJ are fortunately able to have one last conversation with Harry before he's gone. Peter starts off by apologizing for his mistreatment of Harry back at Harry's house, and rightfully so. And Harry's response to Peter's apology is perfect. He says, "None of that matters, Peter. You're my friend." It's very heartwarming and telling, the fact that when Harry had initially sustained his head injury, once again causing him to forget the misplaced animosity he had towards Peter, he was very confident and happy to say that Peter was his best friend. And later on, even after coming to and remembering all of the ups and downs of their friendship, the friendship between Peter and Harry, even after remembering all of that, he declares once again that he's his friend. If someone is truly your friend and acting up is uncharacteristic of them, then remember that it's best to resolve the conflict and then forget about it. As Harry said, none of that matters. Summed up, the climax of Harry's character development is his redemption arc, and then soon after, his self-sacrificial action. To witness someone's redemption arc is such a satisfying and gratifying thing to me, whether it's in a show, movie, reality, what have you. And I'm sure I'm not unique in that. But then that leads me to wonder why. Why is that the case? Why are so many people drawn to and pleased by witnessing someone's redemption arc? Well, it's probably because we can all relate. We've all done things we're not proud of, things that we wish we could take back, but we can't. But so, in that case, what can we do? In the words of Jesus to the woman caught in adultery, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." And in the words of Marcus Aurelius, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life, now take what's left and live it properly." Perhaps these quotes are quotes that you're already familiar with and have applied to your life, and if so, then you have my respect. But if there are things you could improve on, if there are injustices you have committed that need to be resolved and accounted for, if there are things you need to do that you haven't done, if you're procrastinating in things you know you have to do, if you have yet to begin your redemption arc, begin today. And that's the cool thing about the redemption arc, is that it's not as significant when it happens as much as that it happens at all. And take Harry, for example. He was not, as I said earlier, not living up to all he should be at the start of the film. He then became who he was supposed to be the same day that he later died. So again, the point being, if you've procrastinated in beginning your redemption arc, no more. Be like Harry. Become who you're supposed to be. Start today. What essentially is the closing monologue given by Peter is actually perfect, and I wish more movies had themes and lines such as this. He said, "Whatever battle we have raging inside us, we always have a choice. My friend Harry taught me that. He chose to be the best of himself. It's our choices that make us who we are, and we can always choose to do what's right." And that's certainly true. Again, there are things that you need to do, and you know what they are. Do them. There's someone that you know you need to be that person. Be the best version of yourself, just like Harry. Well, I hope that all I pointed out today and brought to light encourages you in one way or another to continue to be a good person. I do implore you to go watch the movie for yourself, and hopefully by witnessing exactly what I'm talking about in the character development by Harry and other people in the film, I hope that will kind of reinforce the encouragement here that this video was meant to cause. Would that be the word? I don't know. To be honest, as I watched the movie, there were a lot of things that I picked up on that didn't deal specifically with Harry and his character development. But I thought it was worthwhile to focus on Harry for this video. But if it comes to it, and I suppose if you want to see a video diving into the character development and character arcs of other people in this film or just the film as a whole, then you know what to do, guys. Subscribe and like the video and comment down below. Yeah, so anyway, just let me know if you want to see that, and maybe I'll do it at some point. I really do hope that you got something out of this video. And remember to treat others the way that you want to be treated. To love God and love your neighbor. And therefore, you will be a good person. Thank you for watching. As always, it's an honor.